Good morning, guys. It is another beautiful Monday here in the Carolinas. The sun is out. I don't think it's going to rain today. And this morning, we're going to get some miles in a new pair of shoes here, the Adidas Supernova Rise. Now, yesterday, I ran a marathon during training in this old, raggedy, beat-up pair of Nikes and was showing and telling we don't need the latest and greatest, newest gear to start a running habit, and a lot of the times we can use something that's in our closet or really affordable just to get started, just to build the habit, and just to take that first step toward making running a part of our life. But there are a lot of great shoes on the market, and when we want to graduate into something a little bit more comfortable, more cushion, that's going to have us well supported for some tougher training efforts. And once we've built in that consistency, that's where shoes like the Adidas Supernova Rise and some of the others on this list come into play. So this morning, I'm going to get some miles in this shoe because it's one that's designed for beginner runners that I haven't gotten a ton of miles in yet. And I want to include it on the list, but with some of these shoes, if I don't have enough miles in, I won't do that. So with that, guys, today we're going to be going over the best shoes for new runners, the best shoes for beginners. I'm excited to do this one. There's lots of great shoes on the market, and this list will help narrow that down for you guys out there. So let's get these miles in and get into it. So almost every running brand now has a shoe in their lineup that is designed specifically for new runners, and that's what the Supernova Rise is here. And Adidas actually commissioned this study that showed the number one reason a lot of people stop running when they try to start a running habit is because of discomfort with the shoes. And so the Supernova Rise here was designed to make the running experience a lot more comfortable. You can see there's tons of padding back here, tons of padding on the tongue, nice soft cushion below. So that's going to be a theme of this video. A lot of the shoes are going to be comfortable, and the price point for most of the shoes that I'm going to include here is $140. That's the market standard. That's where most of these shoes are, but I'm also going to include some deal shoes. For example, the Nike Vomero, which I'll pull through to this list, that is $95 to $110. It's been fluctuating, but it's usually $160, but it's down at $95 to $100 right now at Dick's Sporting Goods. But most of these shoes are at $140, and I think if you're going to upgrade from an old pair of shoes you have in your closet like this, if you can afford to pay the $140, I would just go for the shoe on this list that is the most appealing to you. They're all great options, but of course we do have some deals down at $95 and $100, which I'll include here as well. So with that, guys, plan for this morning, nice 12-mile recovery run around the neighborhood in the Supernova Rise. I'm excited to get some miles in these again. It's been a few months, but super comfortable shoe. Yeah, they did a nice job making these comfortable. The other thing is, guys, I should mention socks. This is the second most important thing you could get, or maybe even first most important thing you could get. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of gross, but I got this blister in my foot, at my ankle back here. That was the only downside of wearing this shoe for that marathon that I did, this 5-year-old shoe. Everything else feels fine, except this part of this heel collar was digging into the back of my ankle. So investing in a few good pairs of running socks that have the padding around the back here, this can really make or break a shoe. It helps the fit be more secure, and it stops some of that rubbing, and the moisture wicking is nice as well for the summer. So pro tip right there, features socks, that's what I recommend, or OS First, and Bombas is also solid. But with that, guys, let's get in these morning miles. All right, guys, 12 miles in the books. Nice marathon recovery run, average 8-something probably. Yeah, average 7:55. I was cruising. I was progressing the pace. The shoes felt really good, nice and bouncy. Oh, you see a little sneak peek of that. Nice and bouncy with this foam, but soft. This is 100% going on the list. I think we've been sleeping on the Supernova Rise a little bit because this is a great shoe. Yeah, I was just in it for 90 minutes, and I could have kept going. So the other thing I want to mention, though, is, man, with the marathon recovery, for me, the biggest thing is the nutrition. I got to mile 9 or 10. I told you I was progressing it, and then I completely hit a wall and felt like I was just crashing. I didn't have that much breakfast this morning, and I just need to do a better job of eating more calories throughout the day. It's always the second lunch on the day of the marathon that gets me. Yesterday, all I had was an English muffin. I forgot to show you. I had an English muffin and a little bit of tofu scramble. For that second lunch, I need to have at least 800 to 1,000 calories. Otherwise, I'm not going to make up enough of the calories. But we'll get that in today. Let's pop off the Supernova Rise, talk through the best running shoes for beginners. Now, as some of you might know who've been watching the channel for a little bit, I try not, or I've hesitated. Whoop! Sorry, camera down. Bang. I've hesitated using the word best because, well, with a superlative like that, it's hard to measure. However, I'm going to qualify calling it best with the number of miles that I've run. So these are the best shoes that I have tested for beginners, and I have run a lot of miles. I've run, I think, over 2,000 miles this year, and across all these shoes that I'm going to highlight here, I now have probably, I think, only 40 to 50 on this guy, and man, look at this. These raspberry things that pop off the tree just completely stain our shoes. But I think I have 40 or 50 miles in this shoe, but I have 200, 300 miles across a lot of the other shoes I'm going to mention. So these are the best shoes, lab tested with all the miles that we've run out here in the beautiful Charlotte Burbs. So with that, let's get into it. First one here, Supernova Rise. So if you want something that is comfortable, versatile, soft, really coddling experience, that is the Adidas Supernova Rise here. So when I first tried the shoe, I wasn't completely sure where it would fit in. It was very comfortable, but I couldn't quite figure out if it was for going slow, if it was for going fast. And now I've realized it can really do whatever you want it to do. It's like the Rorschach test of shoes. And matter of fact, this colorway is like the Rorschach test colorway. If you think this is fire, you might not have swag. I'm sorry to tell you. If you think this colorway is fire, you might not have swag. They do have fire colorways in this, though. I was at Dick's Sporting Goods yesterday, and they actually had an all white. It was sick. So that's another great thing about the shoe. You can find it everywhere at the big box stores, Dick's Sporting Goods. They probably don't sell it at specialty running stores because Adidas is not in a lot of specialty running stores in the U.S., which is a little bit of a weird thing and one of the issues that I have with them. Come on, Adidas. Come on. Do it for the hobby jogger community. Get into specialty running stores. But if you want something comfortable with a nice pep to it, that's not going to be super slow. That can be an issue with a lot of the more comfort-oriented shoes, that they don't have that pep and pop. This one does. It was great for all the pace I was running today, as slow as 8:30, and then I was down to, I think, 7:30. I could have picked it up and gone faster. I didn't want to do that. And then even with the disgusting blister that I have back here, I'm not going to get into all that, but it was not rubbing at all. So you're not going to have any discomfort with the upper here. My friend Elliot, he left a comment a few weeks ago, and I forgot to respond, so I'm sorry, Elliot. He's asking me about the midfoot width of this shoe. It is nice and roomy. They've engineered the shoe to be a little bit roomier because, again, Adidas did that study that showed most people who weren't running or who had tried running and then quit ran into the barrier of uncomfortable shoes. So they engineered this to be the most comfortable shoe possible, and they did a really good job with that. So if you want a comfortable shoe that's good for everyday runs, good for long runs, you can walk in it, that I would go with the Adidas Supernova Rise here. The other thing is in terms of the stability. So if you need a little extra support on your ankles, this is not a stability shoe, but they do have a firmer support piece on the bottom here. This firmer foam, you can see the gray. And so that goes all the way through here, adds a little bit more support. And then they do have a version of this called the Supernova Solution that is the designated stability shoe. So if you want that designated support, I would go for that one. Now, $140. This is full price for all these shoes. I'm going to highlight a deal alternative. So that will actually add up to 10 shoes, but this is the full price one. And the reason I'm not just doing 5 deals is because hopefully this video lives on, and by the time someone's watching it in November, the deal shoes will probably all be gone. So I'm doing 1 new shoe and then 1 deal. And so for the comfortable segment, if you want a deal shoe, this is the Asics Gel Nimbus 25. Very comfortable shoe, nice and soft. The difference between this and the Supernova Rise, though, is Supernova Rise is a little bit more versatile. Feels like it has a little bit more pep and pop to it. The Gel Nimbus is more of a slow, plodding along shoe. So if that's what you want, if you want something to completely coddle your foot and not have that much pep, this is $125. It's a good choice. I think for most people, most beginners who want something that's a little bit more versatile, I'd go for the Supernova Rise. But if budget is a concern, you could pick this up for $120. I think some places have had it for $100. Very comfortable, lots of padding like the Supernova Rise. Comfortable upper, a nice foam here, nice wide base for, again, having that stability and support. 2 downsides of the shoe: the rubber is not the grippiest, and the upper can get a little bit hot in the summer. But other than that, nice solid shoe for some easy everyday runs with some support down in the bottom, and also very comfortable for walking. So there you have it. That is our comfort segment. Now, I actually have to go grab our shoes from inside because we just finished the run. So let me go grab the shoes, and then we'll get into number 2. All right, guys, in the next slot, number 2 here. And by the way, this is not in any particular order of best to worst. I've tried to put it in an order that makes sense of versatile to most niche, but this is another nice and versatile shoe for beginners. It's the Nike Vomero 17. I've recommended this to a lot of runners. Let's actually get some better lighting on this guy. This is kind of a weird colored shoe. There we go. Bang. Yeah, I've recommended this to a lot of runners who've enjoyed it. So it has 2 different types of foam in here, similar to that Supernova Rise, except instead of support rods, it just has a thick, chunky layer of this firmer foam on the bottom and then a softer foam on the top. So what's so great about the Vomero here is that it's nice and well built, it's structured, it's going to be stable, it's going to be really durable, but it also has this soft and peppy character to it from the Nike Zoom X foam, which is the racing foam. So I recently did a 200-mile review of this shoe where I went deep into everything that's awesome about it. I will link it below. But yeah, I have 200 miles on it. It's one of the best shoes out there for just lacing up, taking out for an hour-long run, not worrying about what's on your foot, not thinking about what's on your foot. It's a shoe that just melts away as you get into the run, which is awesome. So the other great thing about the shoe, and I'm not even going to highlight a deal shoe to go with it, is it is itself a deal shoe. Even though it's a decently new release from Nike, it came out, I think, late summer or early fall last year, probably about 6, 7, 8 months ago. But with the way things move and with the way that Adidas and Nike discount their shoes, you can already find this for around $100. So great buy. Nice and easy shoe to run in. They have lots of great colorways from this. I actually got kind of a weird colorway here. I'm not sure I absolutely love it, but I wanted something that wouldn't show too much wear and tear. Nowadays, I buy shoes based on which colorways will look best on camera. This one does not look good on camera. You can barely even see it. But that is the Nike Vomero 17 in the number 2 slot. Bang. Next up here, we have one of my favorites from 2024. This is the New Balance Rebel V4. This is a special place in my heart because I did a 100-mile week exclusively in the shoe where I did 20-mile double day. I did a 23-mile long run in it. It wasn't my favorite when I first laced it up because the Rebel V3, the previous version of the shoe, was one of my favorite shoes from 2023, and this did change the character. There's more foam in it. It's not as bouncy, it's not as soft feeling as that older shoe, but as I got more miles in it, it molded around my foot, and I realized that while it's not the fastest feeling right out of the box, it makes up for it in this light, airy character of the upper and just how comfortable it is for a lightweight shoe, because lightweight shoes aren't always known as being comfortable. So this is the type of shoe where if I weren't testing a bunch of shoes, and if I weren't running high mileage like I am, maybe I were running twice, 3 times, 4 times a week, also going to the gym, this is the one shoe that I would have. So if you're already working out, if you're athletic and looking to add in cardio, add in running as part of your overall fitness regime, this is the shoe that I would get. It's great up to 45 minutes, up to an hour. It's great I recommended it to my friend Angel recently here on the channel. He does hill sprints once or twice a week, and he absolutely loved this thing. He messaged me right after he picked it up from the post office and said it was great. So if that's your style of training, doing a few fast runs per week, also you want something to have on your foot when you go to the gym and maybe run a warm up and cool down on the treadmill, maybe do some incline walking. I know that's big with the young people these days. I'm going to make sure I don't get canceled. That's big with the young people these days, doing incline walking on the treadmill. This would be a great shoe for that. And like all these shoes that we're highlighting here, almost all of them are going to have good stability. So this one accomplishes that by having this wider base out in the back. And this foam really is comfortable. Look at this. Hold on. Got to make sure we get the right contrast on these shoes. It's a little bit hard sometimes. Boom, boom, boom. But look at this. Yeah, you can see how soft it is, but because it's not super tall stacked, and it looks pretty tall on camera, because it's not super tall stacked, it doesn't have that sinking in feeling that some shoes can have that I don't really love. So great shoe for faster running for a few runs a week. Also, it looks pretty fire and is a shoe that I like to wear around town. I've done some walking in it and errands and stuff like that, and it's a pretty cool looking shoe. So that is the New Balance Rebel V4, $140. The deal counterpart is the Hoka Mach 5. I have 310 miles on this bad boy. It's a little bit heavier. I can just feel it compared to the Rebel V3, but a very similar shoe. It's not the most stacked shoe. It has a nice softer top layer. There's 2 different foams like in the Vomero, but a nice softer top layer here. Nice pep to it. It doesn't feel cumbersome on foot. It fits really well and is decently stable from the wider base. So this one is on sale for $110 because the Mach 6 came out, which is a little bit different than this. Also a great shoe, but didn't make this list because Supernova Rise and Rebel and some others took its spot just for this beginner list, but is a great shoe. But this is the previous version of the shoe. $110, one of the best deals out right now. I'll make sure to include that link below. So if you like everything I said about the Rebel, but you want something that's going to be a little bit more affordable, I would go with this one. One downside to it is you don't have any rubber on the bottom here, but if you're mainly doing this and using it for the gym and a few runs per week, that shouldn't be a huge issue. And I got as much life out of this shoe as I did out of other shoes with rubber on them. So 310 miles. I could still probably run in it if I wanted to, but I tend to not force myself to run in these shoes once they're past their prime. So there you go. That is the fast and lightweight segment for runners who are looking to add something with a little bit of speed to it, and maybe you're already training and adding running into your regimen. All right, guys, next up here, we have the beginner shoe for marathon training. And I think I might have actually left this off my list for the best marathon training shoes or my favorite marathon training shoes. And the reason why I think I left this off the list, it was either this or another one I left off the list, but it's not the most specialized shoe. And so when I'm putting together a list of my favorites, I'll often go for the super niche specialized shoes because I run in a ton of shoes. I like ones that have a specific purpose. So this is making this list because it does have a purpose of versatility, and it's kind of the roundabout specialization, right? And so this is the best beginner shoe for marathon training because it's supportive while being decently lightweight and offering a ton of protection. And if you're considering running a marathon, you are going to be running a lot of miles, probably more miles than you've ever run in your life, putting a lot of stress on your body, and you should have something that can stand up to all those runs you're doing. And you should also have something that feels good to run in every day. And so the foam in here is not a super soft foam. It has a little bit more structure to it than some of the other foams on the list. It's a little bit firmer than the Supernova Rise here, which I ran in this morning. This is also a great shoe and would be a great shoe for marathon training, but something like the Nova Blast here, it just has a little bit taller stack of foam, which for the marathon style long runs you're going to be doing 2 hours plus, I prefer having some more cushion. And so it also feels good, and it started to feel better as I've gotten it past 100 miles for shorter runs, which is why it's making this list. And if you want one shoe to train for a marathon, this is the one I would get. It's also got lots of padding around the upper here, and it looks pretty sweet for running. It has a cool design. Not my favorite for walking, but it looks pretty sweet for running. And then it does have this trampoline pad at the front here, which will bounce you off. Boing, boing, it'll allegedly. I don't know how much of it I felt, but it is a nice shoe. You could do some faster pace back up, and especially if you're targeting a 4-hour marathon for your first race, or just finishing in 4.5, 5 hours, even 3:30, whatever it is, you'll be golden in this shoe. I've done a 3-hour long run in it, and it was really comfortable. So highly recommend the Asics Nova Blast 4. Now, the deal counterpart to this shoe is the Saucony Triumph 20 or 21. They're both now discounted around $100, $110, $120. So Nova Blast 4 is $140. You can find these Triumph 20s and 21s for around, I think the cheapest I've seen, the 20 at times was around $70 or $60 at some places. The 22 just came out though, so now 20s are probably all liquidated, and 21s are going to be the ones that are discounted. But this has a very similar use and purpose as the Nova Blast. It has the taller stack of foam here, not the softest, but some nice pep to it when you do want to pick up the pace. Really versatile. I've used this for every single type of run. I have 350 miles on this pair. I have probably 150, 130 on the Nova Blast. Both of these shoes are going to be nice and comfortable. The Nova Blast is a little bit more stable if you look out in the back, so that is one thing to know. If you want a lot of stability, I'd just pay the extra $30 for the Nova Blast. But if that's not a huge concern to you, then I would go for the Saucony Triumph here. Nice and bouncy shoe, great for long runs, great for running in every day. Also a very resilient foam, meaning if you run a hard run in it Sunday and then you want to run 20-minute, 30-minute recovery run on Monday, the foam will still feel good. It won't be completely compressed. As anecdotally, I've found some shoes where when I do 2 runs in a day or run on back-to-back days, the shoe doesn't feel as good as when I let it rest. That's not the case with either of these foams here. They hold up really well. Now, the one thing I should mention about the Nova Blast, by the way, a lot of these Asics shoes, the uppers, can get a little bit hot in the summer, but I don't know. If you're going to be training for a marathon and you really just want one shoe to run in, I would still go for the Nova Blast. It's not going to completely ruin your summer. Just run early and you'll be fine. Just get a nice pair of socks. It's worth it. It's a great shoe. So that is the marathon training segment for beginners, Nova Blast 4 or Saucony Triumph 20. All right, guys, last up, we have the best daily trainer for big runners and also the best shoe for running and walking. So if you plan to start a running habit or continue a running habit with walking, or if you're coming back from an injury, you're returning to the game, and you know you're going to be doing a lot of walking with some jogging mixed in, boom, Brooks Ghost Max. There is no better shoe on the market out of the dozens of shoes that I've tested this year. I've probably had my foot in 50 shoes this year. I'm not sure. I should do a tally, but I'm going to guess 50 at this point this year, and there's no better shoe for walking than the Ghost Max. There's others that I've enjoyed. New Balance 1080, also a very comfortable shoe. The reason it didn't make this list is it's a little bit soft to have as your only shoe, so that's why I recommend some of these other ones that have a little bit more of a versatile character to them. Another good one for walking is the On Cloud Eclipse, but that's $180 and can be a little bit tall for some people, and the foam, I'm not sure how that's going to age over time, but this one, I know it's going to be durable. It's from Brooks. It's really well made. I put 50 miles on it running, and then I retired it, or I didn't retire it. I transferred it and made it my walking shoe because I just loved it so much for walking. And so you have a nice tall stack of foam. You have this little curved platform
on the bottom here that tips you along as you're walking. And if you're going to be doing a lot of standing too, maybe you moonlight as a nurse or a doctor. Well, I guess you'd be moonlighting as a hobby jogger and your main job is a nurse or a doctor. This is a great shoe for the hospital. They make it in all those monochromatic colors. They make it in a pure black. They make it in a pure white. They make it in a pure tan. They make it in a pure gray. They make it in this colorway with the lime green accents. But very comfortable shoe. Anytime I talk about the shoe, I get excited because it's the type of shoe that I put on and I'm just glad it's on my foot, which I can't say about every single shoe out there. So if you want a nice comfortable shoe for walking, standing, and some running, I'd go for the Ghost Max. And the other reason I'm highlighting it here, I said it's the great daily trainer, everyday running shoe for bigger runners. If you want a max cushion shoe with a lot of foam stack support in it and are a bigger runner, and I've found that some shoes feel a little bit too soft for you, and then you go to maybe you've tried other shoes and they feel too firm, like some of the other older Brooks shoes could have felt too firm, like the Brooks Ghost. Some of the old Saucony shoes, like the Saucony Shift 2 or 1, some of those shoes can feel too firm. I've had a lot of bigger runners tell me this is the sweet spot for them. The foam compresses just the right amount and isn't too soft, isn't too firm, and that's been my experience as well. I didn't absolutely love it for running, but again, for walking and for lighter jogs, super comfortable shoe. So there you go, Brooks Ghost Max. And I'm not going to provide a deal shoe for walking because I think this is a case where it's just worth it to get the Brooks Ghost 150. The Nike Vomero 17, you can also walk in that, so maybe I would go for that, but I just think this is superior. There's nothing else really like it on the market in terms of what it can do and how it feels. So there you go. Let's do a little quick wrap up here. All right, guys, so down here, if you want that comfortable everyday running shoe, Adidas Supernova Rise is my pick, $140 if you want the deal. Check out the Gel Nimbus 25. Now, if you want something that's going to be durable, that you can use for some walking, also has a comfortable, soft, peppy feeling, just disappears on foot, really simple shoe that's going to last a long time, that is the Nike Vomero 17. Now, if you're looking for a fast, lightweight shoe for occasional running, some gym use, maybe some faster use, maybe some incline treadmills, trying to work on those glutes, I would go for the New Balance Rebel. Ooh, I would hear like Randy. New Balance Randy Moss. New Balance Rebel V4 here. One of my favorite shoes of the year in this shorter and faster segment. Also like the Vomero, completely disappears on foot. Nice, airy, lightweight upper. And then boom, marathon training shoe. If you're looking for something for a lot of longer runs, also everyday use, don't have to worry about switching your shoes. Gonna last for the 3, 4, 5, 6 months that you're training the marathon, and you can run in it on race day. That is the Asics Nova Blast 4. And then, I forgot to mention, the deal alternative to the Rebel would be the Hoka Mach 5. That's for light and fast. The deal alternative to the Nova Blast 4 for marathon training would be the Saucony Triumph 20 or 21. And then finally, our walking shoe. One of my favorite shoes to have on my foot, the Brooks Ghost Max. Also a great shoe for bigger runners to run in every day. A little bit more supportive, a little bit more foam in it than something like the Vomero 17, especially up in the forefoot. It's going to feel a lot more robust than the Rebel and a little bit more comfort oriented, a little bit softer than something like the Nova Blast here, but just an awesome shoe for walking, standing, and just feeling comfortable and supported, protected all day. So boom, there you have it, guys. As always, really appreciate you watching. Make sure to leave any questions in the comments below. I will start reading through the comments again, answering your questions. I took a little bit of a comment break. And also, as always, if you need to reach me sooner, make sure to hit I don't know why I said hit. You can email me. You want to at supwell.io. And oh, by the way, those are the last shoes. And yeah, last thing I'll say, if you have a pair of shoes like this in your closet, you don't need any of these to get started. This is the upgrade. The best shoe to start running with is whatever you have. As I was trying to prove and show and tell in the marathon that I ran yesterday in that old Nike there. So that's the best shoe that you can start running in, whatever you have, and then upgrade to something like this to help support the habit. And you too can get addicted to running like me. No, I don't know. All right, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. One more thing, guys. I kept saying that I would show you the hiking boots that I started running in. So these are the Adidas Terex. These are not the exact boots. I've now got a new pair of them because those other ones were so beaten. Actually, these ones don't have them, but the other one had some plastic reinforcement piece on the bottom that cracked. But yeah, they have the Continental rubber. This is a great pair of hiking boots. These are the Gore-Tex version. My last ones were not. But yeah, the previous version of these, look, it's not a light shoe. It is a very heavy built up shoe. But this is what I started running in. You can just take anything from your closet that's decently comfortable athletic shoe and start running around the block 1 or 2 miles. I ran up to 5 miles in the last version of this. I also ran sometimes in basketball shoes. I did CrossFit workouts in basketball shoes. So please don't let the gear be a barrier. But shoes like the Supernova Rise, that's the last one I haven't put back yet. Shoes like that will be an upgrade to something like this. They will be an upgrade to a pair of Vans, a pair of Converse, or a pair of Jordans. But you can certainly start doing a workout program. You can start today in whatever you have. You can jog for 5 minutes in a pair of flip-flops. So please don't let the gear hold you back. And the other thing I wanted to mention was the cheapest, best running shoe out there, Nike Pegasus. So this one isn't necessarily as comfortable as any other shoes I mentioned, but you can find it anywhere and online. Dude, these things right now, because the new version is about to drop, these are the 39s. The 40s are very similar, but the 41 is about to come out. You can find these for about, I think I saw a deal that was $60 recently. I'll try to dig up the cheapest link I can find to these and put them below. But one of the best shoes to buy that's cheap to just get started. And this is a solid shoe. I did half marathon workouts in them. I think I've only gone up to 10 miles in them, but could certainly run a marathon in these if you wanted to. So also will be a big upgrade from something like a pair of hiking boots or a 5-year-old pair of shoes that you might have like that. So there you have it, guys. That is actually all I have for you today. There's lots of great shoes. You don't need to spend an arm and a leg to get them. All you need is a pair of shoes and a will to cruise. Don't let either of those two things hold you back. The most important thing is just the motivation to get started, man. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.